You're listening to the Feather and Bone Podcast. Two witches talking about everything witchy and nothing at all. And this is actually take two of this podcast because I had started it and then for some fucking reason the printer printed everything out of order. Like it printed front and back, but then out of order front and back. So I don't know what it was doing.
And you're going to hand me the pages as you go so I can look at the pictures.
Yes. She's like, I need to see photos.
I want to see pictures.
I'm going to be honest about where I got this idea for this podcast. I was watching American Horror Story.
Yes.
And it was the season that was about, oh, that looks delicious.
I'll share it.
What is that?
We have a whole group on
just
Facebook.
Like 4 people in it.
Yeah, there's only 4 people in it, but it's all recipes and crochet patterns.
Yeah. But it's the season that was all about like the lost colony of Roanoke. And I thought like that's because in that like it was like ghost and all this kind of stuff. But I was like, it would be interesting just to do a podcast on that. And there are some witchy connections in some of the theories about what may or may not have happened to them that will kind of connect everything.
We're not witches all the time.
Yeah. So
I love history. I'm a history freak.
Oh, you both of us, and your daughter's starting to get into history now too.
Yeah.
So, but this is an article. It was on Weird History, and it's called 17 Theories Behind Croatoan and the Roanoke Colony Disappearance. Okay.
What do you call it? Roanoke?
I think you say it Roanoke.
It's Roanoke.
Well, whatever. Roanoke. Because there's a rowan tree, right?
There's a Roanoke, Virginia now.
I know. There's a Roanoke, West Virginia.
So, wouldn't it be Roanoke?
I don't know. That's how I say it. It's Roanoke. You need to not make fun of me this early in the podcast.
Okay.
I'm going to say Roanoke through this entire fucking thing. So just get it out of your system.
Yep, Roanoke, Virginia. Now we'll see. Gosh, now my mom's calling me.
No.
I was going to type in how to pronounce
Roanoke.
just to fuck with you. Because I can.
So the disappearance of the Roanoke colony remains one of the oldest unsolved mysteries in the United States. It all began back in 1587 when Sir Walter Raleigh financed the attempts of John White to establish a British colony on Roanoke Island, just off the coast of North Carolina. They landed that July and established themselves rather quickly.
You know how hot it would be down there in July?
Oh, right.
You and I don't like to sweat.
We really don't. Do you know that they actually, like how we have snow days here, like in the Carolinas? Well, you live there. Like they wouldn't send you to school if it was going to be hot that day.
I never got lucky enough to experience that.
Maybe they just do that today. Because I know some people down there and they're like, no, school today, it's too hot.
Back in my day, because I'm not young.
Yeah. You went to school no matter what.
We always went to school.
They were like, hydrate.
Yeah. Like, I remember people would miss school because sometimes there'd be like an alligator blocking their driveway.
Yeah.
Or on their front fucking porch. And they're like, we can't leave the house.
Can't leave the house. There's a gator.
And the schools are just like, we understand.
Yeah. Everything seemed to be going well for the thriving colony of 115 people. In fact, John White's daughter, Eleanor Dare, gave birth to a daughter while in Roanoke. Virginia Dare became the first English child born in the Americas. White sailed back to England to gather fresh supplies, but the Anglo-Spanish War delayed his return. After being away from his family for 3 years, White finally returned to Roanoke in 1590, but he arrived to find the entire colony had simply vanished. They left nothing behind except the word Croatoan, carved into a post, and Crow, C-R-O, etched into a tree. But what does Croatoan mean, and where could the colony have gone? So we're going to go through some theories about what may have happened. The first one is that local native tribes absorbed the colonists as friends or slaves. There's an island named Croatoan just south of Roanoke. and it's the home to a Native American tribe of the same name. Since the settlers developed a good rapport with the tribe, they carved Croatoan on the fort's gatepost, many assume the settlers moved to the island and were absorbed into the tribe. Or maybe they just moved inland, perhaps driven off by Spanish troops. Some theorize they moved north to join the Chesapeake tribe, or perhaps the, Chowanoks? Chowanocs.
I honestly have never heard of that.
I haven't either.
I'd have to look it up.
Or the, oh my gosh. I apologize to any Native Americans that I may be butchering these. WEAPERNEOCS.
I honestly
I'm not going to try.
I have no idea how to pronounce that.
Yeah. In the years after the colony disappeared, many people reported seeing Europeans and European-made goods in the area, though that was mostly hearsay. The Zuniga map, a chart of the area drawn around 1607 by a settler from the Virginia colony of Jamestown, states 4 men clothed that came from Roanoke, Roonock, lived among the Iroquois.
The Iroquois.
Another English.
I know that one.
Another English man claimed to see 2-story stone houses at the Indian settlements of, oh gosh, I'm not going to try to say that. Two Indian settlements. British settlers supposedly taught them how to build such houses. Contemporary archaeologists unearthed evidence including a gold signet ring, part of a rapier, and a slate and pencil that likely belonged to the Roanoke colonists while living among native people. It is also possible that the colonists met with native people who were less friendly. Jamestown colonist secretary William Strachey reported seeing native tribes with European slaves who were forced to beat copper. To this day, many native people in the region claim to have European ancestry, but DNA analysis of present-day local families proved inconclusive. Another thing that may have happened, so that's one theory, that they, for whatever reason, they couldn't survive, so they were kind of pulled into these other Indian tribes. They may have been slaves of other Indian tribes. So that's one theory. And I think that's plausible that, they would either be welcomed with open arms, or we're going to make you slaves. So, another theory.
Yeah, I know what my theory is.
What's your theory? Aliens.
No, not aliens.
Usually it's aliens.
I know.
You've let me down.
Well, Sasquatches, right?
Yeah.
Well, the ones down south are called swamp apes. I think swamp apes got them.
Swamp apes. Okay.
Hey, people have seen that shit.
Another theory.
Somebody has a picture of one they saw it in their backyard in Denise.
We might get to the swamp ape theory. We'll have to stay tuned. Stay tuned. The next theory is that the colonists fell victim to cannibalism, or that they practiced it themselves. Unlike the Croatoans, other Native American tribes may have been more hostile to the Roanoke colonists. There's a theory that a cannibalistic tribe could have attacked and eaten the British colonists. It's true. If true, that would explain why there were no bodies ever found. Many native cultures used bones as ingredients for healing remedies, grinding them into a powder form. Although it is a time-consuming task, they would have had time. White was gone for 3 years, and there's no way to know exactly when the settlers started to disappear. There isn't convincing evidence that any tribes in the area practiced cannibalism, but there is proof that the colonists of Jamestown reported to cannibalism in 1609.
I know how they could solve it.
it's quite possible
Do you want to know?
their predecessors in Roanoke succumbed to eating human flesh as well. Let's hear your next theory. Swamp ape. Now, what's your next one?
I know how they could solve what happened.
Okay.
There's this ghost show I watch where there's a retired police detective guy and a psychic medium, and they go in separately, like they don't communicate with each other during the investigation.
Mm-hmm.
But so he'll go in and investigate everything on a mundane level, and get information. And then she goes in without talking to him or hearing anything. She'll walk the property and talk to all these spirits. I've been hanging around you too fucking long.
Yep.
So, and every time when they do the reveal, like she'll go to a sketch artist afterwards and describe the spirits she's talked to, and he sketches out the photos, and she and that policeman get together and they compare them to the historical photos he's dug up of people, and it's always the same person. Like, this bitch is good.
That's neat.
They should take her out on the island.
Yeah.
See what she finds out.
Just don't do it under the blood moon, because in American Horror Story, that's when the ghosts come and they kill you.
Oh.
So
When is the blood moon?
fuck if I know. I'm sure it happens. The next theory, it's not swamp apes, but and I don't know if this is. I mean, maybe this isn't so much of a theory, but that Edgar Allan Poe had a mysterious connection to the word Croatoan.
So do I need to keep this page? Because this is page 1 and 3.
Yeah, no. Not known as much about the author Edgar Allan Poe.
He had a big ass forehead, didn't he?
Yeah. After disappearing on a trip from Virginia to Pennsylvania, he turned up nearly unconscious and babbling incoherently in a gutter in Baltimore, Maryland. While on his deathbed, Poe allegedly whispered the word Croatoan. It's not clear what illness he suffered from, and his official cause of death is unknown. All medical records and his death certificate were allegedly lost. Could he have experienced what the colony did? So he disappeared, and he was going on a trip from Virginia to Pennsylvania. Somewhere in Virginia, he lost consciousness. He was he doesn't know, but he was found in a ditch.
I bet they found a vortex.
Yeah.
And they got sucked into the vortex and got put into another time and didn't know how to get back.
So now the second theory, it was either swamp apes or a vortex. Croatoan appears at the site of many other mysterious disappearances. This mysterious word also reportedly showed up in other places. Infamous stagecoach robber Black Bart supposedly etched the word into the wall of his prison cell right before his release in 1888, and he was never seen again.
It's a vortex, I'm telling you.
Horror author Ambrose Bierce vanished while in Mexico in 1913, and the bed he last slept in allegedly had the word Croatoan carved into a post. The word also appears on the last page of the log book. Book. That's great. Oh, God. The word also appears on the last page of the log book of the ghost ship Carroll A. Deering in 1921, which ran aground without its crew on Cape... Oh, Jesus.
See? It is aliens. The aliens are coming and taking these people, and that's their call sign. Like, you know how a lot of murderers will leave something?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It says here that that ship, that when it ran aground, it was near what was once known as Croatoan Island. So it ran aground in that general area. Amelia Earhart reportedly scribbled the word in her journal found after her the journal was found after her disappearance in 1937.
See?
Yeah. Vortexes and aliens.
I'm telling you, everybody thinks I'm crazy, but they're going to find out I was right.
How would you say that guy's name?
Who? I don't have a last one.
At the very bottom.
Oh, that's Chief Powhatan.
Powhatan, thank you.
Didn't you read about him in school?
Probably.
How dare they?
Yeah. It's like, don't you know we're doing shit?
We both looked so offended when we heard that.
The colonists were massacred by Chief
Powhatan.
Okay. In 1607, members of the Jamestown colony attempted to learn the fate of their unfortunate predecessors. Jamestown Secretary William Strachey claimed the Native American chief Powhatan confessed to leader John Smith that his tribe murdered the colony as payback for payback for aligning themselves with a rival tribe. Powhatan allegedly possessed some of the items he had taken from the colonists, including a musket barrel and a brass mortar and pestle. However, historians and anthropologists largely dispute this story, as the only record of this confession comes from Strachey. Smith never mentioned it in his own writings. Another theory would be that it was an infectious disease drove the colonists mad. It's weird. I'm trying to keep track of where the pages are. This is so weird.
I'm reading the National Geographic article on it right now because it says they have new information.
Well, wait till the end before your new information. Because of reports from Native American tribes claiming to witness internal warfare among the Roanoke colonists, archaeologists also theorized that Roanoke settlers contracted a plague. The illness could have caused delirium, paranoia, or even complete madness among the infected. Those not infected would have wanted to vanquish those who were out of fear of contracting the virus themselves. That makes sense, because there's this bacteria or fungus or something that will grow in rye, and if you make bread from it, then and you go fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So that's possible. The next theory is that Spanish troops murdered the colonists. England was at war with Spain when the Roanoke colony disappeared, and some think the Spanish were involved in the disappearance of the Roanoke colonists. Spain and England were locked in a rivalry over the colonization of the Americas, among other things, and there were Spanish troops stationed in Florida at the time. So it's possible that Spanish troops made their way to North Carolina and that they actually killed everybody as punishment.
That's not nice.
The next theory is that colonists were sabotaged as part of a plan to discredit Sir Walter Raleigh. Anthropologist Lee Miller believes the colonists were victims of a plot by Sir Francis Walsingham, England's Secretary of the State under Queen Elizabeth I.
Walsingham?
Yeah. In Miller's book, Roanoke, Solving the Mystery of the Lost Colony, she theorizes that the secretary intentionally stranded the colonists and left them to die because Sir Walter Raleigh, who funded the expedition to Roanoke, was granted a royal patent. Was granted a royal patent. Patent.
Spell it.
Yes, patent. For all the land that he settled in America. It's getting to that point where I'm just like, I can't read anymore. According to the theory, the colonists were moved west into what is now North Carolina, where they became embroiled in conflict between warring native tribes. They were either captured or murdered. All of this would have been kept secret by the Crown, which would explain why no record of it exists. Another theory is that the colonists tried to sail back to England. I don't know how that would have worked. We're going to find out.
Do you need this page again?
No. I'm holding on to the one I need. Some theorize the colonists simply grew tired of waiting for John White to return and attempted to sail back to England on their own. But that might be far-fetched. Historians believe the colonists were left with only a small boat known as a pinnace and it wouldn't have been large enough to carry them all. There's also no evidence of a shipwreck to support this theory. Now we're going to get
that's they can't go by evidence of a shipwreck because if you're crossing the fucking ocean.
Well, but like we lose modern ships today and we've never found them. Like if we can use like all of our modern technology, how are we going to find like this little fucking raft that they tried to get back to England in? And how desperate would you be? Because you already made the sail over and you knew how hard that was and how long it took in a big ship. Like how desperate would you have to be like, let's get in this little tiny dinghy and try to make it back to, England in the dinghy. It's not going to work. Did she fart?
Yeah, she's licking her foot.
Oh, yeah, she makes slurping sounds when she licks. So now we're going to get into some witchcraft. The Croatoan tribe executed the colonists as suspected witches. The Croatoan tribe reportedly believed in witches, both male and female, who used black magic to do evil. The tribe could have interpreted the actions of the colonists, like spreading disease and encroaching upon native land, as evil. That was kind of it as far as the witches.
Oh, well.
I was hoping there'd be more. This one's a little far-fetched, but I love it.
Oh, but you don't like my far-fetched.
Was the swamp ape? I will believe in the vortex a lot quicker than swamp ape.
You gotta Google them.
Like, my thing, like, I'm not saying that Bigfoot and all that it doesn't exist. I'm just saying, like, why would the swamp apes want anything to do with them?
Well, maybe they liked that place. Maybe it was like some
sort of... this is our home.
Maybe it was like some kind of breeding
They were
ground.
like, this is the only place where we can be free.
Yeah.
Not have to hide ourselves from humans. Because humans are dumb. This next one, Roanoke was the site of a zombie apocalypse. Yes! Another theory some folks like to share on the internet claims Roanoke served as ground zero for some kind of zombie apocalypse. This combines aspects of other theories that the colonists were diseased and became cannibals. According to this idea...
Why do they have to be diseased to become cannibals?
Right. You're like, I just would like to have a nice thigh. According to this idea, the settlers became infected with a zombie virus that gave them an insatiable hunger for human flesh and hastened the decaying process of their own bodies. The remains would have been long gone, and the infestation would have been over before White returned.
Sure.
Apparently, they've never watched Fear the Walking Dead or The Walking Dead, because it's been fucking years. And they're still zombies.
They're still walking around.
Yeah. Like, and I never understood about, like, The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead, like, they're in a hot climate. I get that. But, like, a Walking Dead, like, the zombies would have frozen solid.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, why didn't they just take, like, when the zombies are cold and can't move, like, why didn't they just send parties out to go and, like, just pike them all in the head?
I don't know.
Like...
I blame Carl.
Carl, yeah. You could have taken, like, a chainsaw to a frozen zombie head. Done. It's not coming back. Okay. Here's the next theory.
I swear that's not me licking myself, guys.
She makes it's just gross. It's like...
My American Bulldog used to suck on her feet, and it was so disgusting.
I don't understand, like, the sounds.
She would, like, suck in between your toes and stuff.
Yeah, it's gross.
Ew. It's like SpongeBob when you do that with your tongue. When he's like...
Yeah. The next theory is that the Roanoke colonists were transformed into trees.
And you say I'm ridiculous?
Heavy eye roll from her on that one. Heavy eye roll. The Croatoan tribe reportedly believed that the island had a spirit who, if angered, had the ability to absorb the offenders into the trees. Literally. The spirit could transform them into trees, stones, animals, or anything else in nature. If this lore is to be taken at face value, that means no one actually went missing. They just became part of the land. That is probably like white people misinterpreting what the natives are saying, because we all know that when you're buried, you go back to the earth.
Yeah.
So, like...
That's their way of saying they're dead?
Yeah, like, they died, they've been buried, like, you know... but that was probably just white people doing what white people do best.
Hey, I do a lot of things well.
I do, too. Oh, gosh, you're going to love this one. The next theory is that the reptilian devil of the woods
Yes!
possessed the colonists.
Yes.
I like how there's some that's like, hey, that's kind of credible. That's, I could see that. And then there's zombies and reptilian devils. Okay?
Yeah.
So the Croatoans believed that greater spirits manifested themselves in the form of the elements. And they reported a strange phenomenon that occurred at the same time as the vanishing of the colonists. Birds fell from the sky, and large numbers of wildlife died abruptly in the area where the native people hunted. The Croatoans told of an evil spirit that took the form of a reptile. They said it was able to attach itself to humans, causing them to demonstrate the demonic traits like violence and greed. The Croatoans warned the colonists that the evil reptilian spirit had infested the entire region, and once the infighting began, they knew the settlers were infected with the creature's evil, and that's why they turned on each other. I mean, this just goes back to, like, back before people understood things like what a disease will do, and, like, like the whole bread. I always come back to the rye bread example.
Yeah.
Because, like, they really thought people had been losing their minds and was possessed by devils and, like, doing all this stuff, but it was just a pathogen that they had picked up from the rye bread that was causing them. She must have found something. So, I mean, so I could see the Native Americans being like, no, it's a reptilian devil. Because there's one, there's one reptile that, like, its saliva is poison.
Oh, the Komodo, is it the Komodo dragon?
Yeah.
Is that the one it is?
Yeah, I think so. So you think about it, like, if they saw, like, a Komodo, like, they didn't have Komodo dragons in that area, but Native Americans would place some type of, like, spiritual, meaning to that animal because of what it could do. So that's my opinion on the reptilian devil one. This is 11.
They were actually the third group of colonists.
Wait! If the Croatoans didn't think that the colonists were witches, maybe the colonists encountered witches already waiting for them. Many legends tell of witches who stalked the woods of North Carolina, and new arrivals only added to the lore. Native peoples in North Carolina supposedly told stories of witches who used black magic to harm others, and early European colonists accused the Native American people of being witches themselves. It is well known that later colonists accused each other of witchcraft in the notorious Salem witch trials. The last one... No, not the last one. You're going to love the last one when we get to it. There's a thing that talks about the Dare Stones that tell the story of the missing colonists. Yeah. From 1937 to 1941, people began uncovering engraved stones supposedly written by members of the Roanoke colony.
That's the stones I was talking about.
A man claimed to have found the first stone, a 21-pound rock, somewhere along the Carolina coast. It's believed that Eleanor Dare used it to write a message to her father, John White. In the alleged account, Dare says the colonists moved further away from the ocean a short time after White embarked for England, but they were plagued with illness and violent encounters with native tribes until only 7 colonists remained. Through the 1930s, a North Carolina farmer came up with more than 40 more engraved stones, but those have been proven to be fake. The first stone is different, however, and it could be the real deal. The last one you're going to love. Aliens abducted the colonists.
See? See?
A mystery is extremely mysterious when an alien abduction seems like a logical explanation. Theories about extraterrestrial involvement range from a reality shift that banished the colonists into another realm, your vortex,
See?
to aliens beaming them up for a bit and then beaming them back down on the other side of the earth. They literally vanished. Who knows? Maybe they'll turn up back in Roanoke hundreds of years from now thinking they've only been gone an hour. That would be trippy.
See?
That would be trippy, wouldn't it? So what did you find while you were researching while I was reading?
Well, I won't go into a lot of detail, but they said there's no way they could have all gone as a group and been absorbed into one tribe because their group of 115 or whatever it was bigger than most local groups. So they said they were very well could have just split up into like small groups of 5-10 people and gone to a bunch of different tribes.
Or they could have, like it was talking about, like died out from disease, and there was only a few left, and then they got absorbed into the tribe.
Yeah.
But
they were the third group. The second group that went there was more like a military expedition. And the Native Americans were like, no.
Yeah.
And
fuck you!
Ran them off. But then the third group that was there, it was hush-hush. It wasn't on the record with the government back in England.
Yeah. So wait a minute. This group, the 115, was the first? The third?
The third.
Okay.
And their expedition was hush-hush because they didn't want other countries to find out about it.
Well, and that kind of ties into the one theory about the secretary for the queen purposely, doing something to make them fail.
So it was top secret, and one of the maps they found had a secret code on it, like a little symbol.
Yeah.
And they uncovered something with that symbol on it. Like modern day archaeologists uncovered something with a symbol on it. And they said more than likely they traveled, I think it was 50 miles south to where there was it was like a prime spot. It was a waterway and the land was prime, and there was a tribe there that would have been friendly.
But if they're moving south, they could have encountered the Spanish because they had been in Florida at the time. So, I mean, like, there's all of these theories
so the whole
are
thing
connected.
The whole thing was top secret is the thing.
Yeah. And it would have been top secret because of the Spanish.
And then the military expedition that was there before them had already pissed off a couple of the local tribes.
Yeah.
So when they saw a third group show up, they were probably like, negative Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
So I think they were killed.
And I kind of put a little bit of stock into the stone because it would make sense that she would want to leave a message for her father.
Yep.
Like, this is where we had to go. This is what happened.
They probably killed all the men and kept the women.
Yeah.
As slaves or something.
Yeah. I mean, there had been some tribes that would be nice and integrate people and not make them slaves, but that's like rose-colored glasses.
Yeah. They specifically mentioned a tribe in there that the previous mission had pissed off. And don't quote me on this because I don't have the article open, but I'm pretty sure they said something about Seneca or something with an S.
Yeah.
And they could have come in and been like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And just taken them.
So I don't know. Like, I've always
they could have taken them and sold them and traded them with other tribes. I mean,
yeah. Well, yeah. I've always been real fascinated with this story. I mean, who isn't? Just fucking disappeared, one word left. I don't think I would ever purposely write Croatoan anywhere because
you're like, I don't want to disappear.
Well, but because we talk all the time about like the energy of things, and if you have like an entire world of people who think that word is connected to the mysterious disappearance of these, like, no, I'm not writing Croatoan anywhere. Like, no, not doing it. But I thought that would be a nice little diversion from.
I like his history and stuff like that. You could turn this into a history podcast, and I'd be happy to help.
You would probably be like, oh, when are we recording another one?
Be like, when are we talking about the Tudors?
Yeah. Jesus. The Tudors, I would have to just sit back and just let you talk, and you go on.
Now, people couldn't follow me. You know how all over the place I am.
So anyway, this is a short podcast. It's only 34 minutes, but
That's cool. It's Father's Day, and I really should get
yeah.
home.
But so anyway, you can find us on the internet, featherandbone.net. There you'll find access to all kinds of stuff. I'm going to update it. There's a link to the Facebook group on that website if you want to find us that way.
Look, I can stick my hands under it.
Yeah, I can do mine too. We, like I said, we're only going to be doing the podcast now every other week. Just our schedules don't really allow for us to do weekly anymore. So that it is what it is. We'll be back week after next with something new. I don't know what. Haven't decided yet. So
You're looking at me like, yes,
yeah,
we will record something.
Yeah. Remember, it's magic, motherfuckers.